Good morning. I'm grateful for the opportunity to come together today and to be among the many colleagues, friends, and family members of Luke Spangenburg. It's my hope that today's gathering can help us continue to process and cope with the heartbreak and grief created in Luke's absence. I also know that today will serve as a celebration and fond remembrance of an incredible life marked by Luke's insatiable joie de vivre and commitment to students. Luke brought more than academic acuity and intellectual contributions to our college. An alumnus, he immediately grasped the potential for innovation and creativity of our students, our faculty and staff, and the college. With extraordinary goodwill, generosity, and commitment, he led students into the relatively new field of algae and biofuels cultivation, production, and marketing. In addition to his ability to engage with students, colleagues, and visitors, Luke broadened the definition of community college to include research, receiving accolades from academics and business contacts across the state and the nation. He excelled at championing student success. He increased SFCC's reputation nationally and internationally through innovative achievement and personal tours of the Trades and Advanced Technology Center. He also increased our presence with industry partners, prospective collaborators, public officials, including House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I would like to thank Luke's wife, Sarah Giors, and his family, who are now part of our family at SFCC, Deborah Bolt and the SFCC Foundation, Undine Franglass, Doreen Gallegos, Mason Kovac, Todd Lovato and his team at NPR, Val Nye for coordinating today's memorial, and all of today's speakers. Luke took great pride in his work, his students, and SFCC. Let us continue his legacy together by emulating his outstanding character and remarkable optimism. And now I would like to introduce Regis Pecos for his remarks and an opening prayer.
Thank you, and good morning to all of the distinguished members of the Santa Fe Community College, to Sarah, Nico, Sadie, and to Mom Julie and family, and to all of Luke's friends and colleagues. I am honored to open with a prayer of thanksgiving as we honor and celebrate the life of our beloved son, brother, husband, father, colleague, and friend, Luke, fondly called Skip. I will do so in my first language of the Cochiti people, in Terrace. And I will use kernels of our mother corn that has sustained us physically and mentally. And so I ask you to join me in your own way as I offer this prayer. Amen. Asísh Asha Usha Chanos Kudstil, Teom Buhu Hatitinia Surtas Utisikitnia, Hatiti, Ohak Yasit Yachowit Tani, at the Su and Akation, you do a Hatiti Dipuna, Hatiti Sutra Adim, Hatiti Luke, Umio Hatna to Hatiti, who Yania Sutras. At the soup and occasion do a hatiti hat, Urum Shanakakun, you call not my hatiti to drop. You meet your hat me to that, for Amoki, but you hatiti, God you makuni, you hatiti yours, it was. So you hatiti shoot me at each hair, took a yan, could not hatiti, you mata could so just that. You meet your hat me to chase stuff, where hats hatiti. Chotini, where you have to take you and sutra na hat. So meet your hat make a sail at the hair. Tell what you who had to see Yania sutras at the whole hand and had the assistant and had to see Shah, had to see oh must I had to see good talk. Got me your hat make a had to see who the which I had to see any had to need to try no. to Sarah, Nico, Sadie, to Mom Julie and the family. We thank the family for your generosity in sharing your son, brother, husband, father with all of us. We honor, celebrate Luke by giving thanks to our Creator for blessing us with his presence, with his spirit, with his gifts of love, of compassion, of understanding, of humility, generosity, with his grace of giving, with the core values that define his life, that exemplifies what makes life meaningful, purposeful, and hopeful. He was, in the Kara's word, a carrier of seeds. He was a farmer seeking the good soil to plant the seeds of sustenance. He loved Mother Earth and all the elements that creates the wonders within which we exist. He planted the seeds of life, knowledge with which to live and love life. He nurtured the minds and hearts of people. He was a teacher beyond the classroom of mind and heart. He saw beyond the horizon. He had a vision. He felt with a deep sense of compassion for others. He gave very generously. He loved life, a gift to his family, his students, and friends. As a gift to you, Sarah, and your children, and to your family, I want to offer this symbolic gift in his remembrance as a representation of his life and spirit, a traditional bowl of seeds as a prayerful reminder of his perpetual spirit, of his life, a life giver to humanity, his fulfillment through his love of life, for his love for all of you, and especially for Nico and Sadie. This is a prayer of thanks to Luke and to our Creator, a life lived and his perpetual gift, that we are all better by having experienced some part of our lives knowing Luke. We are here momentarily. How we live leaves behind a spirit that lives in perpetuity by all those impacted by that lived experience. Blessings to all of you with Luke's spirit. Shall we share in this gift in our way? If you stretch your hands out in this manner, all of you, and you bring both hands to your mouth, and you inhale, that is how we share the breath of life. And as Luke has now become part of the spiritual world, he becomes part of the wonder of the world that he loved so deeply. And as we see the sun shine, the moon provide the light in night, when it rains, when it snows, that is his everlasting spirit. And we are close to him as we are to our faith. And his life will live in perpetuity with all of us in our hearts and in our minds, in the words that he shared with us, that we shall repeat in sharing the knowledge he gifted to everyone during his life. And so I'm honored to have opened this celebration in his honor, to bless his family, his children, and to all of his friends and colleagues at the Santa Fe Community College that he deeply loved. And so to be of this place, indigenous to this place, it is something that is our gift to the family and to all of you to have been honored to gift and open this celebration of his life in my native language of Keres, of the Cochiti people. And I thank you for this honor and opportunity.
Thank you, Regis. For those of you who may not know Regis, he is a former governor of the Cochiti Pueblo. He is the co-founder of the Santa Fe Indian Schools Leadership Institute, and he is also the first Native American board member of Princeton University, among other things, and he also serves on the Santa Fe Community College Foundation. We're very grateful for you for being here today, Regis. I would now like to introduce our MC today. Christina Maestas Simic is a native New Mexican and former Santa Fe Community College student. She's a certified life cycle celebrant, a certified death doula, and a home funeral guide. She will be our MC today. Christina.
Thank you so much, Becky. Luke was a teacher and a guide above all else, and it would appear that on this very day, he sent us a special lesson that everything happens in its organic timing. It is an honor to be here with you today. I thank you so much for your trust. We will both grieve and celebrate Luke's life today. Today, in the privacy of your own home, I'd like you to be aware that you are safe, and I'd like to welcome you to feel what you need to feel. Here, there is plenty of room for both tears of grief and joy and laughter. That comes with a life well lived and expressed through love. Luke's death was shocking and unexpected. He was vital and always in the peak of health. With boundless energy, his death came so suddenly. Where did that extraordinary man go with such dynamic, creative energy? Where is Luke, the friend with the open door, the man who had inspiration, motivation, and a path and connectedness to make anything possible? Luke's death left no time to be there with him in ways that we would hope. No time to say the things that we would want to say, do the things we would want to say, and perhaps love him as generously as he offered all of those around him. Luke's birthday is tomorrow. He would have only been 56. Before we begin Luke's life celebration and sharing, I would like to offer each of you a chance to make peace with both Luke and perhaps yourself. I'd like to welcome you now, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes, and please remain in quiet for a moment and relax. Now reflect back on your experiences and the life that you shared with Luke. Is there any unfinished business? Just feel this for a moment. Is there anything that feels binding or incomplete? Feel where this density might exist in your body. Forgiveness is a way out. It is a way to freedom, a way to love more deeply and sincerely. Is there anything that you feel you'd have to ask Luke forgiveness for? Please express it in the silence of your own heart. Now I ask, is there anything you would like forgiveness to forgive Luke for? Feel where this binding might exist for you in that silence of your own heart. If you are at peace, or now feel at peace with Luke, use this healing vibration now present to us all and bring someone into mind that you are not at peace with. Now I will ask, is there anything that you would like to forgive this person for? Feel this density and the way that it holds your body. If there is something stated in the silence of your own heart, is there anything you would like to forgive this person for? If so, do so now. I will now ask the most important question of all. Is there anything you must forgive yourself for? With regards to either Luke or anything else, feel this place that up until now was not even known to you. This is bound, vital energy. If there is, state it within the silence of your own heart. Now let us together feel the grace and the power of forgiveness. Feel the heart we all share with the grace and love of forgiveness. Let us pray that we are all whole again. Let us go beyond this circle of love and feel the world touching it again and again with the grace of forgiveness. Let us feel our hearts and the hearts of those we love by reuniting in the grace of forgiveness, unity, and peace. And so it is. Bring yourself more present, gently, gently, back into this space with those around you. Your beloved friend and colleague, family member, Luke, was born with a wild, adventurous spirit, with a need to explore and test the boundaries of everything. Through the family he was born into and being surrounded by 3 doting sisters and a mom, he was offered a lot of space for growth. His oldest sister described his early childhood with all of their moves with that of gypsies. During his teenage years, Luke challenged his physicality to the highest levels by becoming a black belt in karate. In his early 20s, he became a competitive award-winning cyclist, which would become a career spanning 13 years. Following his retirement from competitive cycling, Luke became a high mountain guide in the Peruvian Andes. One can only imagine the thousands of miles he must have journeyed. Luke experienced himself and his capabilities in ways that only can ever be imagined by others. The time that he took in his youth gave him a deep knowingness of both himself, the earth, and her elements. During his mid-40s, Luke would experience himself in a different way following meeting Sarah. And it was here in Santa Fe where Luke married Sarah, set up home, and became husband and father to son Nico and daughter Sadie, and then was motivated by another spirit, the spirit of making this place better. At the age of 45, with thousands of miles of life under his belt, Luke first came into contact with SFCC, and it was there that Luke would learn and apply the knowledge that he had gathered in the previous part of his life. It was here at SFCC that Luke would become a fire starter and a community builder as a director of biofuels. And now it is my joy to introduce Randy Grissom, former SFCC president and acting director of St. Vincent's Hospital Foundation. Randy?
Thank you, Christina, and good morning, everyone. Sarah, Nico, Sadie, all the Spangenburg family. It was my honor to get to know Luke, to work with him, and to see what he's done to change our community and to really to change the world. I first met Luke back in about 2009. I had just come back to the college to head up what we call the Sustainable Technologies Center. Luke was one of the first students to come in and get advised by me. And we talked about what he wanted to do. And it was so obvious from day one that he had this commitment to sustainability, commitment to his community, and a commitment to his family, which became evident because almost all the family came through the college in one way or the other. And that he would be very successful at anything he wanted to do. His past experiences as a guide, as a professional racer, all show that when he does something, he does it to the end and successfully. He came through my office and we were able to work together to plan what he might want to study at the time. We had a grant that helped us with tuition and fees and developing new programs. And Luke was there pretty much from the start. He was there as we grew programs, and every time we added a new program, he decided he wanted to study that too. He was an avid learner. He was able to share his skills, not only with the faculty, but with his peer students. And he's still got relationships, and many of those peer students are probably going to be talking to you today. He became an integral part of what became our Trades and Advanced Technology Center team. He taught, he directed programs. As Christina and others have said, he directed our Biofuel Center of Excellence. He helped us with our Innovation Center of Concepts. He was definitely dedicated to students, and it didn't matter what their background was. Many of whom didn't think higher education was even possible for them. He brought them in. He provided hands-on experiential learning. He helped them learn that they could do research and that they could do math. Math scared everybody, but he made sure that they learned it and were comfortable with it. And he came up with a term that he used often of stealth STEM. We snuck in the STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math for the students. He also saw the need to connect our students to employers, to see what employers were expecting, to what people were doing around the world. And he got the college to play a greater role in economic and business development by having businesses incubate on campus and exposing themselves to our curriculum and our students. A couple of people have already talked about his tours. Those became famous. Lots of tours went through the Trades and Technology Center. Luke was always the one who could talk to anybody. He could talk to a senator. He could talk to the leader of the House of Representatives. He could talk to our governor. He could talk to international sustainability activists. They all came through the center, and Luke held his own with all of them. His knowledge and his desire to learn and to share what he knew was incredible. He developed a lot of partnerships with leading universities. Community college was the only player that wasn't a university in many of those programs, worked closely with our national labs, and he was well recognized. As Becky said early, I think Luke was responsible for a lot of the fame and recognition that Santa Fe Community College has in the areas of sustainability. His passion was there. I've got my Algae t-shirt on for those of you who can see it today. Luke gave this shirt to me. It will always be one of my prized possessions. And you know, his legacy is going to be hard to live up to, but it's certainly not going to be one that's a challenge for all of us. And I have made my commitment to continue on and help in any way I can in the areas he's done. Luke changed all of our lives. I'm glad I knew him. I don't know if you can hear it right now, but he may be here right now because I have a woodpecker pecking on my ceiling, and I'm trying to keep my dog from barking. So I think Luke came and said hello this morning. So thank you, everybody. And it was a pleasure to know Luke and to have worked with him in so many different ways over the past 11 years. Thank you.
Randy, thank you for being the first to open up the door to his visionary in the school. It is now my joy to go ahead and introduce Ike Levine, who is a PhD, president of Algae Foundation, Professor of Applied Science in the University of Southern Maine. Ike? Ike?
Forgot to unmute. Yep, my bad.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Sarah and the entire Spangenburg family for the opportunity to share my thoughts of Luke's legacy and his involvement with the Algae Foundation and the ATEC program, not only here in Santa Fe, but around the country. Unfortunately, I've attended way too many of these celebrations of life, and I find it tremendous comfort from the conviction that Luke is in a better place of pure peace and love. And it's the family and friends' grief and pain that needs to be comforted. We are here to celebrate Luke's passion and commitment to life, love, family, friends, and students. I'd like to relate the depth of emotion shared when I informed the entire ATEC family of Luke's passing. Many of our members were demonstratively moved by the news and have shared with me their personal involvement with Luke. And so I'm here channeling what they had to say. His passion and commitment to the development of the programs at Santa Fe Community College infected our group with a pure respect, and along with some really good cheer. He was gregariously quiet. I know that's sort of an oxymoron, but he touched our group with his integrity and his innovation and his pure passion. I probably know Luke the least amount of time of anyone at today's gathering. I try to figure out our time frame together, and I came up with the following. My first contact with Luke was April 4th, 2014. So we've only been together for just about 6.5 years. And believe it or not, we've exchanged exactly 1,000 emails in those 6.5 years. I kid you not. He immediately embraced our mission to train young people in the science as well as the art of algae cultivation, and his conceptualization and development of our digital badging program will make an enduring mark on our students' ability to get good jobs for their futures. Personally, Luke and I had many opportunities to chat about algae, Hawaii, our mutual past experiences, and came to the conclusion that his gravity-defying lifestyle and my gravity-avoiding life didn't define us, but gave us common understanding of each other's passions to support young people in their journey for a better life. I will miss my friend and colleague. ATEC has lost a giant, a leader, a visionary, and a good friend. In its 7 years, ATEC, which stands for the Algae Technology Educational Consortium, is a family, and we've experienced our fair share of births, marriages, divorces, but also passings, the arrival of grandchildren, graduations, challenges, and milestones. With Luke gone, there's a shadow over the entire ATEC family, and he will be missed but not forgotten. Oops. I am pleased to announce that the Algae Foundation's Board of Directors have unanimously approved the formation of the Luke Spangenburg Memorial Scholarship to support students enrolled in the Algae Cultivation Certificate Program at Santa Fe. We're funding the scholarship with $5,000 annually contributed, and we've already received additional funds through our website. Initially, it was envisioned or thought that it would be a tuition abatement program, but after discussing the matter with Steve Gomez and Ondine Fraunglass, it was determined that perhaps the funds would be better used to support increased student retention and graduation rates by supporting paid internships for the certificate enrollees. We hope to honor Luke's dream by funding these internships for students in this certificate program. Scholarship details are still being worked out as to who'd be involved in the selection committee and what criteria, the timing, etc. So just please be a wee bit patient. But we've also started a dialogue with the Santa Fe Community College Foundation to combine our mutual efforts into one larger scholarship fund. So we hope to work through these issues to develop a sustainable award program. I truly thank everyone here for the opportunity to share my loss and emotions with you all. The ATEC family is my family, our family, and we lost a loved one. He'll forever be in my heart, my prayers, and my memories. Thank you.
Ike, thank you for your sharing. Albeit that you may have known him for the shortest amount of time, I can see how significant that he was to you with knowing that it was 1,000 emails. That's incredible. It is now my joy to go ahead and introduce Sarah Boisvert, author and founder of Fab Lab Hub.
Thank you so much, and thank you to Luke's family, friends, students, and colleagues for coming together today. It was former SFCC President Randy Grissom, who we heard speak a few minutes ago, who brought me to the college to start a Fab Lab in the MIT network. And he then went on to retire just a few days after we signed our agreement. But Luke stepped up to the challenge and embraced our work with new technologies like 3D printing, as well as the new education models that we were piloting in digital badges. And he helped us bring them to the students at the college, but also took these ideas and expanded them in his own work. He was always selfless and innovative in looking at how can we all work together and grow together and with a shared experience and to gain perspective from each other's strengths. He helped us integrate our programs into the school since he saw how our commercial advanced manufacturing lab could work alongside academia to create long-term opportunities for the people of New Mexico, especially in supporting our paid internships for the college's students. And that has been very powerful. One of our interns went on to become our full-time lab manager. And it was really that experience of the internships that Luke so supported, and we were so grateful to work with him for his vision and support. I'm so grateful to have worked in the Innovation Center that he was an integral part of. And every day I see the legacy has left to our students. Thank you so much.
Sarah, thank you for sharing that partnering that was so successful. I would like to now introduce Paul King, PhD, Principal Scientist and Group Manager, Physical Biochemistry, Photosynthesis, National Renewable Energy Laboratory. Paul?
Thank you, Christina. And it's my pleasure to be here today and participate in this memorial to Luke and be with Sarah, Nico, and Sadie and his colleagues and friends. I think that's the one thing that is resonating in what everybody's saying today is Luke was not only a professional colleague, he was very much a friend and shared a lot of his life and vision and experiences with us all. I knew Luke for almost 30 years, and we had a lot of experiences together. And in that time, I saw many examples of his generosity and his thirst for life as has been brought out today. He always had a deep connection to his surroundings and in the communities he lived in. And I believe, for example, his time in Peru was really an opportunity for him to coalesce that into some sort, into a vision that he was able to, I think, live and exemplify during his tenure at SFCC. So that gave him an opportunity to really deepen his connection and to create a new, unique educational opportunities foster environmental stewardship and broaden community outreach. Really, his community extended far beyond the Santa Fe, the local community. Obviously, it connected out all the way up here to Enral in Golden, Colorado, for example. So during my time of knowing Luke, we had, I think there were many times where we would hatch a plan, try to decide how we were going to make something fun happen. And that was not only in our recreational life, our life sometimes together, experiences that we use to kind of get away from the stress of life, but it also encompassed our professional lives. And we worked over the years in many ways. We were able to formalize our friendship in terms of our, and find ways to work together. I'm sure that Luke is proud of his legacy at SFCC and the fact that he has such a strong community to carry forward on his vision and plans, and that all of you will help sustain his vision and legacy into the future. And I want to thank you again for this opportunity, and wish you all well.
Thank you, Paul. I can only imagine the amount of miles that you clocked under those pedals with between the two of you. I'd like to now just take a brief pause, and we are going to be blessed with a prayer and an elemental prayer and a deep connection that Luke felt in kinship with the earth. Mother Earth, hear your child. As I sit here on the lap of grass, I listen to the echoes of your voice in my brother the wind as he blows from the corners and the directions. The soft, gentle raindrops and the tears you cry for your children teach me the lessons you have to offer. To nurture my children as you nurture yours, to learn the lessons of the four kingdoms that make up the world of physical things, and to learn to walk the path chosen so long ago. Mother Earth, hear your child. Be a bond between the worlds of earth and spirit. With the wind, echo the knowledge of the grandfathers and grandmothers who wait unseen yet visible if only I turn my eyes towards their worlds. Let me hear their voices in the wind that blows to the east. From the east, I seek the lessons of childhood to see with the trusting innocence of the small ones. The lessons of spirit given in love by our Creator. From the south, to learn the ways of questioning, the fire in independence and adolescence, the truth and how they help us grow along this path. From the west, where the grandfathers teach us acceptance and responsibility that comes during years of marriage and family, that my own children grow strong and true. From the north, where the elders who by their long lives have learned and shared wisdom and knowledge, and learned to walk in balanced harmony with our Mother Earth. Mother Earth, hear your child. Hold my hand as I walk my path in this world. Guide me to do the lessons I seek. Bring me closer to our Creator until I return to the western direction, to once again enter the world of spirit, where the secret fires await, and I rejoin the council of elders in the presence of the one who created all. And now I'd like to go ahead and introduce Stephen Gomez, PhD, Chair, Trades Technology, Sustainability, and Professional Studies. Stephen?
morning. I would like to thank Sarah and Nico and Sadie for sharing Luke with us for so long. I'd like to start first with an email I received last night. It says, I did not know Luke well. We met just 3 or 4 times in 2019 in connection with the idea of bringing 2 Maasai students from Kenya to SFCC for education in sustainable agriculture. Some of these meetings were also attended by Chief Nixon Parmisa of the Maasai community in Kitengela near Nairobi. Luke took a great interest in Chief Parmisa and showed him all the new technology that SFC students had developed. I know that it was truly powerful and eye-opening experience for the chief who lives in a terrain almost identical to that in Santa Fe. He saw that it is possible to develop food autonomy for communities such as his without millions of dollars of investment, without a PhD in agriculture, and even without rain. This is the gift from Luke and his team that we are trying to implement in Kenya. We look forward to continuing the partnership with SFCC that was begun over a year ago, and one way or another, we will honor Luke's legacy. In sorrow that Luke is no longer with us, may his legacy live on in Kenya. Best wishes, Kenny Man, Acacia Moro. And so that's kind of what Luke did. He took programs and turned them into communities. The Biofuels Lab at SFCC is really a hangout place for students, well, when we're allowed to go to it, for studying or eating or hanging out. And we were constantly having to kick them out in the hall so we could have class. Luke understood that what we were is a home for the lost children. Some were homeless. Some had come from abusive relationships. There were a lot of single parents, some ex-convicts. Some were retired and looking to reinvent themselves. And some were middle school kids. And so we had all sorts of different individuals that Luke made a home for. So they could figure out what they were doing on this path. And it worked pretty well. I mean, many of those lost children are probably watching on YouTube right now. And what I didn't know at the time is that Luke was looking for someone with academic credentials to kind of run the programs. And I wasn't quick enough to keep from getting caught in Hurricane Luke. I was busy teaching biology down to pre-nursing, to nursing students down at CNM in the South Valley, down where I live. And they organized the BCX biofuels training program, and they were supposed to teach it at all the community colleges. And he tried to teach it with CNM, and they just kept saying, give us the money. And he said, no, I'm not just giving you the money. And so finally they remembered that I had been writing green energy classes for the engineering program, creating them. And so they introduced me to Luke, and Luke came down to the South Valley to see the facilities. And I think at first he thought I was just another administrator from CNM that was going to say, give me the money. And after about 10 minutes, he was saying, you need to teach at my school. And that was in during the fall. And in the spring, I was an adjunct teacher up at Santa Fe Community College. And that summer, I got hired full time. And then the following spring, the dean and president and vice president cornered me in the hallway, the long art hallway, and asked me if I wanted to be chair of the department. And I said no. And they wouldn't let me leave until I said, well, I'll think about it. And that was on a Friday. And when I came back on Monday, Luke was the first person that walked up to me and congratulated me on accepting the position of chair. And I know his fingers were behind that the whole time he was involved. And just earlier in the week, Randy confirmed it. And so there's been some, since then, you know, we got along really well. And there's been descriptions about what's our relationship and stuff. And so I was giving a seminar at Sandia and about what we're doing for energy storage and microgrids at SFCC. And one of the guys from the small business program was there, and he asked me if I knew Luke Spangenburg from SFCC. Saying, yes, I know him. And he asked what our relationship was. And before I could answer, someone from the back of the room hollered, Steve is Fidel and Luke is Che. And I thought, that kind of covers it pretty well. And the other description I've heard is that I'm the little guy behind the curtain and he was the big flaming head. And for the young people who didn't understand either of those, if Fidel and Shay look up on Google, and if you didn't get the small guy behind the curtain and flaming head thing, shame on your parents. Conversations that we had with Luke were very wide ranging. We discussed everything. And the one in particular that I remember very well was we were talking about how to leverage a DOE grant to improve our chances with the USDA. And somehow that conversation wandered into a discussion of ingrown pubic hairs. I have no idea how it got there. I'm still trying to use mental chopsticks to poke out my mind's eye for that. And I'm sure you all are trying to get your own mental chopsticks, but that was one of Luke's gifts to me that I'm sharing with all of you. I'm only 8 months older than Luke. Tomorrow we would have been the same age again. When Luke started at SFCC and started a family, I was actually kind of retiring from the Loveless Respiratory Institute and becoming a grandfather. So we got to the same place, but by very different paths. I mean, his Nico is only 3 months older than my grandson. And I used to tease him that we're the same age, but I'm a generation older. And many a times we have discussions where we had a difference of opinion. And if I tried pulling out because I have a PhD card, that didn't get me anywhere. But if I pulled out the because I'm the grandfather card, that worked pretty good. And so I think that had something to do with his time in Peru. He also had a very good sense of people. He could see through people and pin down, he could see the crapola real quick. And I wish I'd listened to him more because it would have saved me a lot of headache. You hear people say that Luke was never angry. Well, I'm probably one of the few people lucky enough to have made him mad at me. Or at least he was very perturbed with me. About 2 years ago, I had a racquetball-sized tumor removed from the back of my head. And I was sitting about 10 days before you go into your surgery, you go sit with your surgeon, and they tell you all the horrible things that could happen to you from the surgery. And so I was sitting in the lab the next day, I guess looking pretty mopey. And Luke asked me how I was doing. And I said, I kind of responded like, well, okay for a guy about to have his head cut open. And I just blurted out, and I don't know why, I said like, and I haven't done anything with my life. And his eyeballs got really big, and he said, come into my office. So I went into his office with him. He closed the door and chewed me a new one. And I kind of deserved it. And then he pulled out a pad and paper, and he wanted me to write down everything I've done in my life. And so I kind of said, well, I don't know where to start. And the first thing he told me to is write down, I'm a wonderful grandfather. So I wrote it down. And then I asked him, I was thinking he would get something from my CV. I have a PhD, I did postdocs, all this kind of stuff. And I said, why do you want me to write that? And he said, because that's something I'll probably never be. And I kind of wonder if Luke's life, the way he lived it, was because he kind of knew. I've just been thinking about that in the last month or so. And then after that, I had to he made me write about 4 pages, single spaced, all the way down. And then he finally let me stop after I said, okay, I get it. And then afterwards, he started asking me questions like, did I have a will? Were my beneficiaries all correct? Which they weren't. So I got my ex-wife off and put my kids on. Did I have a power of attorney? And he made sure I had everything in order before I went to go have my surgery. And then we discussed how to keep the program going if the worst happened. And since I'm sitting here, you can see everything turned out okay. It was the world's most expensive liposuction. And my arm works again and things like that. And he told me a lot about how to getting an arm to work again, since he had one that didn't work for a while. But it never occurred to either of us that we should have had the reverse conversation. But the one we did have about me has helped guide me through this time. And after the surgery, I was all fat and out of shape, and he decided he was going to get me back in shape because he'd been a physical trainer or something like that for people. And so we were at a conference in Breckenridge, and he got me up at some ungodly hour of the morning because he wanted to go climb some ice falls in Mount Lincoln. So we drove over to Mount Lincoln and hiked about 3 miles, maybe through the snow. And we got to the bottom of this frozen waterfall. And I would flop down in the snow nearly dead from lack of oxygen. And he puts on crampons and ice picks and climbs a sheet of ice 1,000,000 feet high. And he disappeared over the top for a little while. And then he comes back and he climbed right back down. And the spots were starting to go in my eyes. And then we hiked all the way back to the truck, and I nearly died again. And he was all ready to go. Hurry up, get ready. We got to go back to the conference. It would have been the height of absurdity for me sitting there with spots in my eyes, head on the hood, panting to breathe, going, Luke, you should probably go get an angiogram. You know, I was the one that was nearly dead. And so it seemed kind of strange now that we were in the opposite positions there. And then the last thing is I'd like to say is last week I was looking on YouTube for a bunch of videos to put in for solar and energy in my sustainability class. And on YouTube, they have all these little videos that pop up on the side, that if you click them, they're going to take you down a rabbit hole and you're never going to get your work done. But there was one that kept popping up that was purple, has bright purple and pink that said loneliness across it. And every time I went to a new video, it was still right there. And so finally I clicked it, and it was a very good clinical explanation of loneliness, how it arose evolutionarily, how it causes problems in today's society, what chronic loneliness can do to you physically, and how to break the cycle. And later I was talking with Christina before we did this, and she made me realize it's my brother talking to me in my language. And so I'm going to pay more attention to those kinds of things, because I think Luke is still shaping my life. It's his fault I am where I am completely. And I think he's going to continue to do that into the future, and I'm very grateful for it. And I would like to express to Sarah and the family that anything they need from me, they can have. Thank you for your time.
Stephen, I'm sure that SFCC is grateful that you were swooped up by Hurricane Luke. And I would say, my friend, keep listening. It is now my joy to introduce Luke's sister, who is Nikki Spangenburg, and she is a Chief Administrative Officer for Bioneers, and again, Luke's sister, Nikki.
Hi, thank you. First, on behalf of our family, we want to thank you for the endless support and love you have shown us. We are so grateful. And Regis, thank you so much for your beautiful prayer. It was very comforting. So the heartfelt thank you. Luke was a bright light at a very young age, and all whose past he shared across knew this to be true. Growing up with Luke was an adventure in every way. As a family, we shared many adventures together. Whether that was my older siblings living in Hawaii, living in England, Canada, and finally permanently settling in the United States. We often had frequent childhood road trips to Mexico, watching him race in Peru and Europe, or watching him as a black belt at the Battle of Atlanta with Chuck Norris. I think our mom helped form his sense of adventure through her encouragement to always follow his dreams. Our family has been blessed with so much joy and laughter. And there are so many things we love about Luke, but one of my favorite things about him was that he was always in touch with his inner child. Everything was just fun. I will definitely miss the hardcore belly laughs that we've shared often. He grew up with an amazing mother and 3 sisters, and we just adored him. And he made sure that we knew that we were adored too. He was our superhero. And as my sister and I like to say, he lived, he really lived. Luke spent his life seeking knowledge and creating adventures that crossed cultures and traditional borders. He was a fearless and peaceful warrior. He was kind, silly, funny, mischievous, and a leader, innovator, visionary, and a connector, and so much more. Luke wanted to live in a world he could believe in, and he lived and worked to inspire all that knew him to do the same. He lived a very adventurous and meaningful life with a deep love and respect for the natural world. Luke was one of the very first graduates for the biofuels program. You all know the rest of the story. He also inspired his sisters, nephews, and brother-in-laws to get involved, and they all started studying at SFCC. They have taken that knowledge and each are making their own contributions to making the world a better place and a place that works for all. The organization that I work for, Bioneers, operates within a philosophy that recognizes and cultivates the value and wisdom of the natural world. Both of our work focused on the solutions for the challenges we face today and highlighting those solutions, especially encouraging youth to get involved and be part of the solution. Over the past few years, he has come to the Bioneers Conference in Northern California with me every October. It was so much fun to have him there. It was yet another adventure to share, and he immediately became part of the Bioneers family. To watch him there was like watching a kid discovering Wonderland. Hanging out with some of his heroes, exchanging ideas, making connections, learning, all for the common purpose of living on Earth that honors nature, the web of life, and each other. Luke embodied that in every way. As we in a family and community move forward in this world with hearts filled with the sorrow and loss that knows no bounds, we are still full of gratitude for all the beautiful gifts he has left us, all. It's with that gratitude that we as a family would like to thank Luke's vast work community, students who have worked with him for many years and share Luke's passion for the environment and making the world a better place. It is amazing the commitment, dedication, and hard work every one of you bring to each day in order to make this a place we can all believe in. Thank you, and keep up the great work. We are left with Luke's legacy, and we will hold his legacy up high with courage, grace, and love always. I will end with a quote from my boss and my friend, Kenny Ozabel, who's the co-founder of Bioneers. It reminds me of how Luke walked through this world. Each of us has a spark of life in us, and our highest endeavor ought to be to set that spark off in one another. And I feel that Luke has done that his whole entire life. Thank you.
Murphy, thank you so much for sharing your life being Luke's sister. Now I'd like to go ahead and introduce Nick Petrovic, founder of Apogee Spirulina. Nick?
Yep. Hi there, everyone. Luke and I have spent a lot of time together since March, as the Spirulina farm had become his outdoor office. At that time, we had covered a lot of ground in our discussions covering many subject matters. One discussion that stuck in my head was about complacency. How did we end up here as a society and species? As we watched the West burn, drought returning in the Southwest, and the world being plagued by COVID-19, what are we going to do? As Luke said, it's time to take action, not sit back and be passive. We all need to put our differences aside, fight for the greater good, and not wait another sunrise before taking action. Life is greater than that. Anyway, pretty short, to the point. Anyway, rest in peace, Algae Cowboy.
Nick, thank you, and appreciate your sharing and also your vulnerability and your tears. Thank you. Now I'd like to go ahead and introduce Jeremiah Starr, who is a student of Luke's. He's from Jemez Pueblo. He's a field supervisor for Glorieta Geoscience. Jeremiah?
Yeah, hi. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and thank you for allowing me to speak. Nico, Sadie, Sarah, Luke's mama, his sisters, thank you for sharing Luke with us. So yeah, the first time I met Luke, I was taking classes at IEI, and I had finished the ethnobotany program, and I came by the college, and I was like, man, what am I gonna do now? I didn't know what to do. I had a baby just born, and I needed to find something that would propel my future to provide for my son, and I don't know, I just had a lot going on in my life at that time, and I came by the college. I walked by the biofuels lab because I was like, ooh, it's like really futuristic looking. I went in and I met Luke, and we just talked a lot about what they were doing there at the program, and I had no idea like how to even start, but whatever, I don't know. It was something about Luke that I just wanted to be around Luke. I just wanted to be there. So I didn't know what classes I was signing up for. Luke actually signed me up for classes, and I was like, all right, let's do it. And the rest is history. I took classes there, and he became my mentor. More than a teacher, he was my mentor, and then we became good friends. We went on many adventures together. I went to Hawaii with him. We went to mountain biking together in Crested Butte, and he looked out for me. He really did. I didn't. Yeah, no, he looked out for me, and I love him for that. He was so kind to me. I remember there was one semester I couldn't pay for class. I was tight on cash. I had a baby, and I thought, there's no way I'm gonna be able to pay for school this semester. And I told Luke about it, and he said, take my card, go to the registrar's office, pay for your class, and just don't worry about it. Pay me back whenever, in 10 years. And who does that anymore? Who does that for anybody anymore? And Luke would, he was just. I'm gonna miss his kindness. I'm gonna miss his presence. I'm gonna miss, just being able to talk with him, and oh, man. All right. I'm gonna miss our little morning espressos at Nick's greenhouse. The three of us just shooting shit, talking about nothing and everything. He was I don't know what it was, but Luke had the ability to just, whoever he met, he became friends with him instantly. He wanted to be friends with Luke. Again, I only met him, the first time I met him, I only known him for an hour, and I wanted to be his friend. I wanted to do the program, and he knew how to stoke the fire that was in everybody, right? It might have gone down from, life, whatever life throws at you. And when you met Luke, you just had some good downtime with him. You were energized. You were ready to follow your dreams, do whatever you needed to do, to, get to where you needed to get to. And Luke was more than, just like a mountain guide in Peru. He was like also like my life guide in a way. And he's up there with, he's one of my heroes. He's up there with my dad, my mom, my grandparents. Luke's up there, and I'm gonna miss him. I love you, brother, and again, thank you to the family for bringing him into this world. Thank you, Luke's mama, for bringing him, sharing him with us, and just thank you.
Jeremiah, Luke was a man that recognized hidden gifts. And I'm so glad that you recognized your own through him. You're a gift to us all. Thank you. Andrew Rodkey, friend, Maker Symphony, and former student. Andrew?
Hello, everyone, today. Hope that you can hear me. Yeah. I just wanted to start with a breath. We are one. one breath, one heart, one people. We are seeds of our ancestors' love. Planted here in these times of change to grow a better future through daily acts of love, community connection, and stewardship. Luke was a dear friend, mentor, and climbing partner of mine. He was a gatekeeper that always left the door open to welcome in all to the table. Sometimes visiting him at the lab, I never knew who he'd be talking to in his office. You know, door would be open, could be a high school student having a challenging time with a math class, the president of an international company, a world-class scientist, or a representative of the Maasai tribe. Luke knew how to weave community together. As Dr. Gomez and many others talked about, Luke was incredible about finding people's potential, encouraging them to cultivate it, and then found ways to connect them with like-minded individuals to be able to succeed and grow the community through community connection and commitment to regenerating and helping our mother in this time for future generations. Luke believed that we're all on the call to stewardship together. He worked diligently to grow food for the people, starting many greenhouses, encouraging Nick to grow his greenhouses, helping at greenhouses up in Tesuque and also at the Santa Fe Community College. He would inspire others to find their light and share it. He believed that through the sustainability program in trades and technologies, he could cultivate engineers, dreamers, believers, entrepreneurs to start companies with a positive vision of helping and being good stewards. Luke was willing to push students enough and push myself enough in many ways where sometimes we fail, but he never thought of failure as something bad, but just, you know, when you make mistakes, like many of us would flood the lab or forget something, or, you know, you just encourage us to learn from those mistakes, to be better people and evolve more as individuals. I always remember from climbing mountains with Luke, and especially down in the Cordillera Blanca in Peru. We climbed climbed 7 18,000 foot peaks together. And he would always just say, you know, climbing the mountain isn't in the first 3 steps. It's in continuing to take those 3 steps and moving through the journey. Also to go as fast and as slow as you can at the exact same time. Luke knew how to pace himself and flow up mountains, ice falls, and knew how to move through a room and life with grace, love, and kindness. How many of you have gone on a journey with Luke, with a raise of hands? You know, with fear inside you, but finding courage to keep going because Luke was with you. Luke was on the other end of the rope, and having that savviness, his worldliness, his connection, his smile, his grace. I'll always remember that about Luke. He would always encourage me to do challenging things because that is what makes you able to do challenging things in your professional life. So we hike the ski basin sometimes super early in the morning, or go rock climbing or ice climbing. And he knew how to get up early, you know, get alpine start at, you know, 4 or 5 in the morning. And so then, you know, you're on the road ready. Something I remember about Luke especially is just how much he had a zest of life and how he would be up early every morning because he knew that he had something to contribute was willing to utilize those gifts to his best efforts to help the community to grow. Believe and act on your dreams. Grab life by the horns. When I talk about a challenge I was going through, he would say, you know, the bull's always at the front gate every morning, you know, so, you know, be ready to ride the bull of life. Be ready to go out there and really, you know, try every day to improve your life, and eventually you'll look back and be amazed by how far you've come. Ignite a fire in others. Share generously. And there's enough for everyone. Luke was a very generous person. I think Sarah, Nico, and Sadie, and the whole family, the Spangenburgs, the Yorcies, for sharing Luke with us. And he was able to weave communities together because he knew that it took all of us. It was all of our beautiful opportunities to play a part in being this time to regenerate and revitalize communities and and Mother Nature. Luke passed where he loved, in a meadow, looking up at the stars, surrounded by a new forest of aspens. Our mother welcomed him back. I know that Spirit called Luke back because Luke is a special light, and he will always be with us. And I'm guessing we're all going to run into him again at some point in this journey, because his love and zest of life kindled fires within all of us. And I'm so grateful that he dedicated his life to helping others, to pursuing his passions, to loving fully, giving generously, and bringing the community together to have a more compelling, beautiful future and an incredible present. Thank you all for being here today. Luke, you'll be forever remembered. I love you deeply. Thank you.
Andrew, and great gratitude for you and your deep friendship and holding that space between life and death for him in such a sacred and beautiful way. Gratitude to you, my friend. And now I'd like to go ahead and introduce Luke's wife, Sarah Giorsi. Luke's wife and life partner and executive director of New Mexico Women.org. Sarah?
Thank you, Christina. It's an honor to be here, and thank you, Regis, for prayer and for being a guest on Tableland. We're honored. Nico, Sadie, and I have deep gratitude for this circle, this gathering, this heartwarming storytelling space. I know all of us are deeply sad and in a lot of pain. His mother, Judy, and Nikki, and Patty, and Kelly, all of us are mourning a big loss, and having this prayerful space, this storytelling space, brings Nico, Sadie, and I comfort. We're grateful to you all. Christina, for your medicine waves, for your prayers, and for softening the edges of this pain with your gentleness and creating this space. Thank you, Dr. Rowley and Deborah Bolt, for putting this beautiful circle together, and to Stephen Undine for helping to make it happen, and for all that the three of you helped make happen in this community and on this planet. You are and were an incredible triad, the trifecta, and inspired Luke a lot. To all the speakers here and all your stories, Luke spoke of each and every one of you with such high regard and such deep respect. I get to meet you in person, or Sarah Beauvert, I know you're there. I didn't get to meet you in person, but I feel like we all know you. Nico, Sadie, and I know you because Luke would come and weave this tapestry of story and community every day, consistently sharing all the work he did, all the good work he did, and his inspiration with us. So we're touched by you. We're touched by your work, and it lives very much in our home. So thank you for that. Those who worked beside him that I haven't named, students and interns, you inspired Luke. You inspired him, and that exchange really what the essence of sacred education is about: calling each other's light out. And I could feel that and see that in each and every day in the way that he related and worked with the students and interns there at Santa Fe Community College. I just want to say a deep gratitude to Santa Fe Community College for creating this space where Luke could grow and express this other part of himself. He had such an incredible life, starting at birth, as we've heard today, with all the amazing stories. And this part of his life was his offering of his love, of his passion, of his connection, as we've heard, to Mother Earth and the community. And so that is a huge gift that you gave to him, and that will live on in the work that you all are doing. And with his big vision and his deep imagination, Luke could see far, far. He could see the horizon far, and it required this big imagination. And he had a big dream for healing and a big dream for love. You know, he came from love. And that healing and that love, that spark lives in each of us. And so I just offer as a way of closing to say, for each of us to carry that spark of love into our work as a way of honoring Luke. And sometimes it really is hard. I know for myself, it's hard and it takes courage to move, in that way. But call on him. His name meant light. Call on him when you're feeling scared or when you're feeling in despair, and he'll come to you. He's with us. He's always with us. So with love and gratitude, thank you.
Sarah, great gratitude to you. As I shared with you earlier, his life took such a different turn with meeting you and having the children. And it was at that point where his motivations were so much bigger in becoming a servant to the earth and to humanity. I would like to go ahead and close honoring the elements that sustained Luke and that he lived in such a communion with. I'd now like to, Spirit of Luke, I honor the earth that sustained you and kept you. Spirit of Luke, we honor the water that sustained you and kept you alive and in grace. Spirit of the fire that burned within you, touched and motivated everyone in your presence, we honor you. Spirit of the air and that final breath that you gave back to the earth and offered to each one of us through your inspiration and what you gave birth to in this life to support and sustain other life on this planet, we honor you. I am there. I am the breeze that kisses your cheek. I am the sun that warms your face. When you look into the purple evening sky, it is me. When you see a majestic mountain, it is me. When the birds sweetly sing, it is my voice. When the water gently laps against the shore, it is my heartbeat. I am the green grass against your feet. I am the refreshing shade of summer. In the stars, you will see my eyes. In the blue skies, you will see my body. Feel the air that surrounds you. I am there. Feel the love in your heart. I am there. Our most powerful guides and teachers will lead us and they will leave us with a question. Luke had an intimate and loving relationship with the earth and her elements, her creatures, and all of us. Could that be our biofuel of sustainability? With all that he has inspired and left behind, he is now counting on you to be the answer to his questions. Thank you for joining us today, and may all of your paths be blessed with motivation and inspiration and the fire that Luke walked within. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.